Hello and welcome. I'm Janet Stephenson and I'm a research professor at the University of Otago in New Zealand. I'm going to be talking to you about culture and sustainability. This is based on work that I've done with colleagues over the years and also draws from work done by many other people around the world looking at the relationship between culture and sustainability. This is drawn from a book that I published in 2023 that relies on a lot of work done by others, as I mentioned. And what I'm trying to do here is to really capture some of the key ideas from the book in a series of short videos of around 10 minutes each. Let's start with you and just focusing in on what are the sustainability issues that you are concerned about? Are they issues in your own life? Are they issues in your community and your attempts to work with your community to do new initiatives towards a sustainable outcome? Are they to do with issues that you're coming across in your studies and becoming concerned about? And maybe they're to do with issues that you're concerned about at national or global scales. Just focusing in on that in your own life, how do you hear culture being mentioned? Do you hear things like, that's just our culture, we can't change it? Or, it's easy, we just have to change the culture. It's not going to happen without a culture change. The problem is business culture. Or maybe even that department has a terrible culture. The thing is, when we use culture in these kinds of ways, it's often used as an excuse for inaction, or it's used as a vague hope that maybe things will change. Sometimes it's used in an overgeneralizing kind of a way. Sometimes it's used as an accusation, but almost always it's used in a way that we talk past each other. We're using culture to mean slightly different things as we talk to each other. And for those reasons, we're not communicating very well, and we're certainly not understanding the role of culture in our sustainable lives. So in an everyday sense, culture is vague, it has multiple meanings, and it also suggests otherness. Often we use culture to refer to other people and other people's cultures without really turning the lens on ourselves. In an academic sense, it's almost worse. And on the right-hand side of this screen, you can see some of the academic disciplines and sub-disciplines in which culture plays a really important role. But across all of them, you'll find very fragmented approaches. There'll be multiple meanings of culture. And if you try and read some of this material as a layperson, you'll find the language to be very complex, and often culture is undefined. There's just an assumption that what that particular discipline means by culture is the reigning one, is the most important one. So why is culture any use at all if it has all of these multiple meanings and we tend to talk past each other? Well, I think culture is really important when it comes to sustainability because we often individualize the problem of sustainability. We can individualize it in the way that we start to believe that all humans share a natural urge to overconsume and destroy. And I think the evidence shows us that that's not the case. We also can assume that individuals are so unique that we're all so different that we can't save the planet because we can't act together, because we've all got different approaches, different desires, and different abilities to do things. And I think the evidence shows also that that's not true either. My belief is that cultural diversity and cultural dynamics show that transformation is possible. The fact that we are diverse and have been diverse in history and are still very diverse culturally today shows that the ways that we live now aren't necessarily the ways that we need to continue to live in the future. And a cultural lens looking at and analysing the world through culture can help clarify why we have sustainability problems in the first place, but also how change can occur. So what do I mean by culture? Well, at its most simple iteration, culture is about how we think, about the values and thought processes that are in our minds. It's also about what we do on a daily basis, what we do routinely, but also things that we do every now and again or very occasionally in our lives. And it's about what we have and the things that we make. But most importantly, culture is about how those things are interlinked. So the ways in which how we think shapes what we have, what we acquire, what we make, but also shapes what we do. It's about how what we do shapes how we think, and how what we do shapes what we have and what we acquire and what we make. And it's about how what we have shapes how we think and what we do. And where we talk about cultures, it is about similar cultural characteristics or similar patterns of having, thinking, and doing that are shared by a group of people. Culture isn't something that you're born with. It's not part of your genetic makeup. It's something that is learned from people and passed on to other people. And so from childhood, culture is learned through interactions with your families, with friends, and then through things like advertising and social media. It's imbued in language, it's imbued in the kinds of messages that you pick up from the world around you, the way your environment is structured. And it's also all about rules, or rules in the sense of innate ways that we believe that we should behave. So we talk about norms or expectations, the ways that we think life should properly be lived within the group of people who we associate with. And culture is really learned in two different ways, through what we call cognitive pathways. So that's through the ways that you learn through your observations of the world, through knowledge, through learning those rules. But it's also learned through bodily pathways, through learning by repetitive doing. So the things that you do on a regular basis through your life, that you learn from your parents, that you learn from your peers, even things like learning to ride a bicycle, use your mobile phone. Learn by repetitive doing until it's so innate that you don't even think about it. You just do it automatically. And culture is really powerful. And one of the reasons it's powerful is that we can't see it. When we're within a culture, it's a bit like a fish swimming in water. It's just accepted that that's the normal situation of things, and it's just how we do things around here. And we find it really hard to describe our own culture, much, much easier to describe cultures that are different from us. They do things differently, which is easy to say, but how we do things is really hard to describe in cultural terms. Culture is also powerful because it invisibly shapes individual and organisational behaviours, and it's really, again, hard to see how it does this until you apply an analytical lens. Culture is also powerful because it can be strongly resistant to change. At the same time, as we will cover in future video bites, it can change rapidly, but it's this resistance to change which is, I think, a really important thing to understand when we're looking at sustainability issues. Culture also operates on many different levels. It can operate at the level of, for example, an individual family or household. It can operate at a societal level within friends, within peer groups, within organisations. And we can also see the operations of culture at an extremely diffuse, generally accepted level across the world in ways of thinking and doing that have become embedded within societies and within the way that we run our economies. And we'll be talking a bit more about these in future videos. So how does culture relate to sustainability? I'm going to suggest 5 different ways, but there are others as well. But one of those is that it plays a key role, as we'll discuss later, in the causes of the sustainability crisis. It also helps explain why change can be so hard. It helps explain how change happens and also unintended consequences. So, for example, I mean by that, if a government brings in a policy, maybe it doesn't have the impact that it's intended to have, and that may well be to do with cultural characteristics of the people of that place. Culture also shows how humans are not inevitably unsustainable. There are many examples where this is not the case. And finally, it reveals the potential for transformative change. So why is this useful for me or for you? It may be useful to bring a cultural lens to become aware of the workings of culture in your own life or work. So how does culture affect what I do, and how can I see it more clearly? It can help identify opportunities to initiate or support change within your organisation. It can be useful to help you be part of collective efforts to change more powerful, unsustainable cultures that your lives are embedded in at the moment. It can be useful to support cultures that already have sustainable outcomes. And it can be also useful to help you undertake research or policy development. And the videos that I'm going to be covering from here are going to be covering some of these points. So that's the end of this first introductory video. If you want more, then go to that website and I'll be releasing more videos over the next couple of months. Thank you very much, and I look forward to having you back at the next video.